and we'll talk about it a little bit further afterward.
By the Rockefeller Foundation. But I'm holding in my hand here a document that was actually published. This is from a meeting by the Rockefeller Foundation, GBN Global Business Network, 2010, that actually spells the scenario we are facing right now. To the T. To the T. This is not an accident. You can go on YouTube and you can Google what I'm saying. You'll see there are videos. Bill Gates was talking 4 years ago about a pandemic. They were talking about a global pandemic that would shut the planet down. This has all been it's all on the cards. So, again, I'm not saying corona is not real. There is a corona. Corona is like the flu virus. And they have weaponized it. Obviously, they weaponized it in Wuhan, and they've weaponized it in Italy because people there are being affected. But corona was actually in America last year. Because you can see the CDC was already hiring people to work in quarantine centers back in November 2019. I've got the documents, folks, for the top 19 cities. So when I called the different pastors, and let me tell you, it is critical. In Italy, they cannot even leave their house. They got a yard, you can go in your yard, but if you walk on the street, you get arrested. You have to cover yourself with basically a hazmat suit. You can go to the shop 2 days a week and maybe go to work. And even then, you have to keep a distance of 1 meter and sometimes 2 meters. And all of this was planned. Today, as I stand before you, I don't feel embarrassed as a pastor, because for years I've been preaching, telling you America's not ready for what's coming. When I talk to the pastors, especially in Europe, because they're on lockdown, Italy, France is going there, but yet there are big riots in the streets right now. The French are saying, no, they're not obeying the curfews. England is the same way. A lot of the Brits are standing up. You know, that's why they were so upset about Brexit, because they wanted to control England. At the same time, they controlled Europe. Amsterdam's coming under major regulation, but Poland shut down with 20 people that contracted the virus. They shut the whole country down. Hungary, Bulgaria. I hear that Angela Merkel just closed the border of Germany today, but it's too late. So the plan was to use a pandemic to take over the globe. And it doesn't have to be real. It just has to be fear. Now, before I read what I'm about to read, I'm friends with a minister who is over hospices. And I was on the phone with him last night. He said, in our hospices in a certain city, which will remain nameless, we have 1,300 elderly senior people that are right now are dying in hospice. Not one of them has coronavirus. Not one. I've asked people, do you know anybody who has the coronavirus? Nobody knows. Do you know anybody? I've been on Twitter. I've watched people with 600,000 followers. Does anybody know anybody with the corona? Everybody, they don't know one person. I spoke to a pastor in Los Angeles. He has thousands of members in his church. I said, can I ask you, please be truthful with me. Do you know anybody in Los Angeles with the coronavirus? He said, I don't know one person with coronavirus. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just trying to tell you it's been weaponized to instill fear into people, because what they want to do is change the way the world functions really forever. Because all these churches that are allowing themselves to come down to 250, guess what? When you try to meet again, you ain't going to be able to meet again. They're going to keep you at 250 because you gave up ground. You gave up ground. Whatever ground you give up because of fear, you will give it up permanently. You will give it up permanently, because you'll say, save us from this hidden thing that we don't even know where it is. And the moment somebody just, I saw this coming when we were across Australasia, when we were in Singapore, and we were going into hotels coming in. They were measuring our temperature. Brother Ted, they measure your temperature coming in now. Your temperature's fine. I said, no, it's not. I have a fever. Then they measured again. They said, it's fine. I said, no, I have a fever. I was kidding, but they wanted to measure my temperature again. Who hasn't had a temperature at some time in your life? Hello? Tens of thousands of people this year have died from the flu. I don't know why I have to be the one that always exposes this stuff. It's like, where's people's heads? So this document, which you can go and find, this is an official document by the Rockefeller Foundation. You can Google it. It's called Scenarios for Future of Technology and International Development. If you want to read it, you go check it. 53 pages long. And the plan is what's called lockstep. Lockstep. Okay, so let me condense this for you into some bullet points, and you see if we're not seeing any of it. Okay, you ready for this? Fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the world of sleight of hand and deception at a scale beyond anything you've ever seen, because the mainstream media are all a part of it, and they drive the fear narrative 24/7. So could this be the end of days? There's not even a question. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that everything is unfolding according to the book of Revelation, that they're taking us to a one world government, one money system, and the rise of the Antichrist. This is it. This is it. This is it. I really believe that God put the president there to slow it down. Had other people been in office at this juncture, you don't even want to know what would be happening right now. That's why Congress is freaking out. Are you with me? Now, I'll give you the three scenarios, because everybody said, looks like we cooked, we done. Okay, there's three scenarios. I don't know. I'll tell you in a week or two if we are. So this document in bullet form is this. Within lockstep is a scenario as developed by the Rockefeller Foundation, which if you read the second book, Killing the Planet, you'll understand these things, as extremely virulent and deadly strain of influenza streaks through the world with the following results. 20% of the global population infected. 8 million people die within a matter of months. The mobility of people come to a screeching halt as airports are closed and global travel is banned. So it's all about population control. You can't move here, can't go on a holiday, you can't do anything because of this terrible, terrible hidden mystery thing. We're still trying to find who has it. According to them, the pandemic kills a disproportionate number of people in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Central America. You can download it. I'm not making this stuff up. People throughout the world are willing to relinquish their rights and liberties in exchange for safety and security. In other words, just take everything. Tell me what to do. Tell me what, as long as I have toilet paper, I'll be happy. A power elite, through their investment in medical and scientific communities, gain control of world affairs. So basically, because the climate change narrative for global governance failed because nobody believed the ice caps were melting, they're using the World Health Organization to then come in and take over the control of nations, and then they're going to bring in vaccines, which the vaccines have been there already. And then there's going to be forced vaccines, which they can kill off many people with vaccines. Because it's about population reduction, because there's too many people on the planet, but with the correct vaccines, we can shoot them and then they can die. Because people are the problem of the planet according to these scum. God put the planet here for people. He did not put the planet here for an owl or for a tree or for a whale or for a bird. Amen. Commerce comes to a screeching halt. Shops and stores are closed. Sporting events are canceled. It's all in the document. Theaters shut down. Churches darkened. So that basically they can change everything. The way you function as a society, you don't function anymore. Everybody lives in fear, and they just obey, and everybody's for the collective. I mean, even churches are advertising, look, because we're going to walk in love, so you would never put your brother in harm's way, but coming to church and sneezing on him, and then he gets the corona. Where were you the last 15 years when the H1N1 was going around killing more people than ever before? Nobody stopped the church at that time. People were sneezing on you left, right, and center. Could somebody catch a cold from? Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. But look at the airports right now. Thousands of people are sitting there trying to get through screening. It's like we shouldn't be around anybody, but everybody's herded like cattle. Measures including biometric IDs for all citizens will be brought into place. And then if you get the vaccine, then you're authorized to travel. If you don't have the vaccine, and you want not that vaccine tattoo they're going to give you, then, sorry, sir, you can't travel this country. You're not qualified to, you don't have the vaccine to travel. Sorry. It's like a science fiction movie that's gone bad. Except you're not living in it here in Florida, but our friends in Italy are. Anyone deemed to be a risk in public safety is quarantined. That's why I do not recommend people flying internationally right now, because the next couple of weeks are going to be horrendous, and I'll explain to you why. Political gatherings will be outlawed. Public protests will be forbidden, and martial law will be established. This is all in the plans. I'm not saying they're going to get it right. I'm just telling you what's on the books. The pandemic disrupts the global supply chain to certain commodities, including disinfectants and toilet paper. It becomes scarce and increasingly valuable. People are giving Rolex watches for a six-pack of Charmin. Managers of the global government can impose rules and regulations as they deem fit. And of course, they blame it on climate change for the outbreak. So the use of fossil fuels, prohibited green energy in which the Rockefellers are heavily invested, becomes the only acceptable means to generate heat and power. And even after the pandemic fades, the new system of global control remains in place.
Just in, a Tampa Bay pastor has been arrested for violating coronavirus social distancing rules by holding 2 large services at his church over the weekend. This is Pastor Rodney Howard Brown, co-founder of the River at Tampa Bay Church. Investigators say he turned himself in to the Hernando County Jail this afternoon on charges of unlawful assembly and violating quarantine orders during the public health emergency. Brown was freed a short time later after posting bail.
We're living in unprecedented times right now. So many people have lost their jobs, are under stress, and looking for some sense of calm and normalcy. I believe there's nothing more important than faith during a time like this. And as a sheriff's office, we would never impede someone's ability to lean on their religious beliefs as a means of comfort. But practicing those beliefs has to be done safely. Last night, I made a decision to seek an arrest warrant for the pastor of a local church who intentionally and repeatedly chose to disregard the orders set in place by our president, our governor, the CDC, and the Hillsborough County Emergency Policy Group. His reckless disregard for human life put hundreds of people in his congregation at risk and thousands of residents who may interact with them this week in danger. Since last Friday, March 27th, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office has been in contact with leaders at the River of Tampa Bay Church. We received an anonymous tip that Pastor Dr. Ronald Howard Brown refused request to temporarily stop holding large gatherings at his church. And instead, he was encouraging his large congregation to meet at his church. This pastor held not one, but 2 large services on Sunday, one at 9:30 a.m. and another at 7 p.m. Because of the reckless disregard of public safety, and after repeated requests and warnings, I worked with our state attorney, Andrew Warren, to obtain a warrant for unlawful assembly and violation of public health emergency rules, both which are second-degree misdemeanors. Again, our goal here is not to stop anyone from worshiping, but the safety and well-being of our community must always come first.
Public safety is always our #1 priority, and make no mistake, this issue is about the health and safety of our community.
Well, you've seen it and heard it with your own eyes and ears. These are the times that we're living in. In the last days, this is what we preach about when we go to the colleges, when we go out to the concerts, when we go out to the festivals. We warn people that we're in the last days. The time